I always advise people to take the job most of the time when you get an offer if you are unemployed. Many times candidates will call me, especially older candidates, more seasoned candidates, if you will, people that have been executives or VPs, maybe even at the C level. They'll call me for advice because they are in the job hunt and they're looking for something new. They're looking for their next home. They'll get an offer and then they're wondering whether or not to take it. Look, here's the deal. If you are over 50 years old, especially, this really applies to anybody. But if you're over 50 years old and you're a former executive and you get an offer, I advise that you take it, even if it's not exactly what you want, depending on your personal financial situation, of course. Now, look, if you got a bunch of money in the bank, if you're a millionaire already, if you got enough cash to last 2 or 3 years, hey, cool, great. Then wait and take whatever you want. But for most of the population, for the vast majority of the people listening to this podcast, if you're, let's say, 52 years old, most of you probably can't take a couple of years off. Or if you do, it's going to drain your 401k or drain your savings, and you really don't want to do that. So I advise you to take offers when they come your way, even if it's not exactly what you're looking for. Then you can spend time trying to find something better or something that you really want to do long term. Again, if you have plenty of money in the bank, disregard this episode. Okay. If you have the financial wherewithal to not work, then don't worry about it. But most people don't. And what I see happens is this is very typical. And I get this phone call all the time. A 55-year-old former VP will call me and say, "Hey, my company sold, I got laid off, but I got a severance package. I got 3 or 4 months worth of severance, or I had a little equity. So when we sold the company, I got a little payday." And so they feel good, right? They got some cash in the bank and they're feeling kind of cocky or whatever. And they kind of start moving through their job search, being very, very picky. And then 3 or 4 months goes by, the cash starts draining. Now they start getting a little more nervous, and now they start getting a little more desperate. And they probably should have taken a couple of offers that came their way, but it didn't. And now they're really in a desperate situation because now they've been laid off. Now they've been off of work for 6 months, and they're really starting to put stress on their family situation and so forth. So for most people, yes, especially if you're older or further along in your career, when you get laid off, you should take something so that you don't put the financial burden on your family and create stress between you and your partner and your spouse because you're draining cash. You're draining cash out of savings just because you wanted to take some time off. I'm not saying don't take some time off, but don't get carried away with waiting around. It always takes longer than you think to get the job and actually start work and actually start getting paid. I mean, from the day you get your last check, wherever you left, to the day you actually get your new first check with the new company and it hits your bank account, it can take a long time. Don't underestimate how long that can take, and don't get too cocky just because you got a little severance package and you got some money in the bank, okay? Because it always takes longer than you think. Last but not least, don't be worried about, oh, well, if I take something and I don't like it short term, it makes my resume look choppy or it makes my LinkedIn look choppy because I only stayed 6 months and I took something else. Stop worrying about that. You don't have to put it on your resume or LinkedIn profile, right? You can always just wipe it off of there later on. No big deal. And there is your Riderflex tip of the day.